The TODDCast podcast on ToddHancock.ca.
Hello.
Jacqui Childs.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, it's Todd in Vancouver. So
I'm not sick. This is my voice. Everyone says, oh, did I catch you at a bad time? Do you have a cold?
Right.
Nope. This is it.
Nope, just got the rasp.
Nope, just have a giant-ass mouth.
Yeah. So thank you, Jacqui, for taking the time. We have, of course, Jacqui Childs on the line, model, actress, writer, radio host. Mm-hmm. What drives you the most these days?
People saying I can't do it. People saying no. Somebody saying, yeah, right. That's what drives me.
You don't get it much, though. Come on. You don't seriously get that much. Enough?
I get, you know what? It's that one that pisses me off. Right. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's that one that drives me. It only takes one, right. Maybe one a week, one a month. That it's all the good stuff is just, I don't know, I wish I enjoyed that a little more.
Yeah. I know what you mean, like the naysayers. It's the people that are like, I don't know about that. Really? Mm-hmm. Then why don't you just watch me then?
Exactly. I know I might come off as looking stupid or looking like a big giant bimbo, but that's just a look. That just gets me in the door.
Right. And holy shit, your social media platforms are banging.
They're pretty good.
2.1 million likes on Facebook is like, hi, Rockstar. Thanks for joining the podcast.
It was up over 2.5, but crazy. I lost my page for almost a year, just over 11 months.
Yeah, I saw
Facebook shut me down.
Like, did you start a new one? And then I think that new one has something like 200,000 or something. Like
right, it's 100.5, yeah. I think. I started a new one, and then that's when I started Instagram as well. And Instagram has 125, I think.
Yeah, and
so I thought
Twitter has the small following of 36,000.
Right, and I think that's just because I don't really know what I'm doing, and because I follow everybody, and and legit businesses and big people don't want to see the people that I find interesting on my Twitter feed. When they look at all my followers, they're like, "Eesh, we're not looking here."
Mm-hmm. And you must have a thick skin though, with that many people watching your every move, because you're quite active online. So there's got to be lots of stuff for them to pick at.
Yeah. And I guess I have thick skin. It makes for good, I write and I do other things. So, and I sort of am like a chameleon with my photo shoots, and I guess I use a lot of the comments or a lot of the feelings I get from what I think people are feeling or what they're trying to say. So, I don't know. I don't actually mind. I don't mind the negative stuff so much. Every so often I'll post something and people say, oh, poor you, blah, blah, blah. And it's not really a poor me. I'm just sort of putting it out there so other people can see and start a dialogue and conversation about it, because it doesn't really bug me that much.
Mm-hmm. And thank you so much for sharing so much of my stuff on Twitter. I owe you an interesting podcast.
You have lots of good guests, and you have interesting stuff. And I don't know, I thought, I listened to a couple, and I've looked at, I followed a bunch of the people that you've had on the show and stuff, and I'm like, it's pretty cool.
And by the way, I love your Twitter bio. I live and breathe music long before social media was, media. Old but cool.
I'm old but cool.
Influencer, author. What is a day to day for you? Like, do you have a regular schedule? Like, you have a routine, a day to day, or no?
When I'm on like a trip, when I'm on something as an influencer, when I'm like the Naked News I used to work for, when they sent me somewhere, or like now I'm just this influencer, I go away on all kinds of trips. Then I have a day to day. Then I get up, I have a schedule. I have my manager says what's going to happen and what's going to go on. Now it's all over. I sleep about 3 hours a night, and I'm trying to hit every time zone. I work a lot. I just signed a deal with Canadian Rocks Media. It's C-Rock Live. I'm interviewing bands all over. I'm the Canadian, as of 3 days ago, I'm the Canadian ambassador for African Aid. It's dental work for children in Africa. That's big. They have a schedule they follow, and they have regular meetings and like monthly agendas and everything. So maybe I'll be a little bit more on a schedule. I don't know. I'm going to Detroit in like 4 hours to see Glorious Sons. Can't wait.
Oh, nice. I just saw Queens of the Stone Age last night, and it was amazing. Amazing.
So good. I love that.
Yeah.
Love them.
By the way, you mentioned the naked news. How did that come up?
I got divorced about 8 years ago, and my current husband, who is also my manager, he applied for the job with some old photos and some old things. He didn't tell me he applied for it.
Oh.
And because if I didn't get it, I'd want to go burn the place down.
Right.
Even though I go, oh, who cares? But I would still be. So I guess they had done a poll or something. They were looking for someone more mature. They had a lot of 20-somethings working there. And I think I was 38, 37 at the time. And they called me in for an interview, and it was the day I had done the Sunshine Girl, the Toronto Sunshine Girl had come out, and I was like their oldest Sunshine Girl in the last 25 years or something. So I guess that was on their desk there in Toronto. I showed up there, and I did a quick green screen thing, and they hired me.
Wow.
And it was pretty cool. It was and quite an experience. I mean, very memorable. I'll never forget that. Now I'm just their influencer now. They send me on lots of trips and lots of places just to do social media.
Right.
So I've sort of retired from in front of it. Plus I was never very good at reading the teleprompter. I had to write my own scripts by the end of it.
Nice. I got to ask, Jacqui, what's been your career highlight then?
I still go back to, because this career actually started when I was 15. My career highlight was when I was 18 years old. David Messi, a very famous, prominent, just retired in the last 3 years from the real Playboy. They had a casting for Venus Swimwear magazine. Anyone can Google it. It's still around today. It's still catalog Venus Swimwear.
Yep.
People buy it. Anyhow, they were looking for girls. I went to some casting. There was thousands of girls with managers, agencies. I just showed up. I think I was a waitress at the time or whatever, and they picked me. And he photographed me, and then ended up leaving Venus shortly after and having a long, 20-year plus with Playboy. That was the highlight, I think. I really think that was when someone who wasn't my mom or wasn't my boyfriend or whatever said, you know what, you got something here. You might not be 6 feet tall and you're not whatever, but there's something going on here. So that would definitely be my highlight. That was really cool.
And where were you when you heard that Hef had passed?
Where was I when I heard Hef had passed? I know. I was at an airport. I was reading. I don't remember where I was going. Oh, I think I was going to Belarus. I was in an airport, and I was looking at delays and things, and then I saw that come across. Yeah. And, I mean, that was obviously just a matter of time. Yeah. In my mind, the whole Playboy thing had passed a long time ago. If you can buy your way into it, that's not a cool thing for me anymore.
Right. The girls actually had to buy their way into the magazine?
They still do to this day. Really? I have screenshots from very beautiful, not to discredit their gorgeous women. They use it instead of going to university, instead of paying X amount of dollars for a great education, they pay X amount of dollars to be shot by the best photographers and to get into Playboy. And they can use it as, for charity or whatever they want to do from there, or to find a rich husband, whatever they're doing. I mean, some of them are freaking gorgeous, but there's also some of them who are not, and they can just afford it. So I'm not a huge fan of that anymore. Yeah. I mean, I could buy the Canadian rights to Playboy. There isn't a Canadian Playboy. There's one for everywhere in the world but Canada. Wow. I mean, that could be my next thing.
There you go.
So who knows?
By the way, what's it like? What's life in Toronto like? Are you a lifer right now, or?
Well, I live an hour outside of Toronto. I've had lots of people come to my house. I have a studio here, and I've done podcasts and shoots and stuff from my home. And you can see a farm right across the street, nice. And a little school 5 minutes away. So I'm can be very quiet if I need to be, which I like to be. And Jacqui Child is a big over-the-top persona when I'm out of the house. Sure. And there's a lot going on in Toronto. Toronto is huge. I mean, you could be out every night of the week, 5-6 places a night. Yeah. And you just can't reach them all. It's, we're freezing our asses off right now, but there is a lot going on, and the music scene is amazing. Yeah. So,
and do you make it to Vancouver very often?
No, I don't. Once every 2 or 3 years, maybe. Oh, really? I'm in Toronto a lot, Arizona, Mexico, New York a lot. Yep. So not Vancouver. I am going to Calgary for a little while shortly, and
The hell did you go to Calgary and not make it out to Vancouver for?
I know. That's everyone that names all these cool places and these things I should see and things I should do. I don't know. I've got stuff going on in Calgary, and I don't have anything going on in Vancouver.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Outside of modeling and just being rad in general and what you're known for, I'm curious, Jacqui, what are you watching for TV shows, Netflix? Like, what are you binge watching lately?
Viceland. I'm a weirdo. I like that Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Yep.
Do you know what that is?
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I don't drink beer really, but I love that Beerland. I'm watching the Versace story on FX. Gianni Versace, his murder. Yeah. I like weird things. I like subtitles and foreign films.
Have you seen Black Mirror?
There's this guy who owns a restaurant. He has his own show and all this thing. Have you had him, that Fidel Gastro guy?
No.
He owns Lisa Marie. Have you had him on the show? I don't know.
No,
He's got his own show.
No.
Okay, he's quite a personality if you look at this guy on Twitter.
Okay.
He told me on New Year's Day, binge watch it, you'll love it. I don't know. I guess maybe the pig things seem boring to me.
Well, the best thing about it, if you only stuck to the first episode, is that every single episode is like kind of almost like a mini movie. It does not play off of the first
right,
episode.
so I don't have to I can just pick one and watch it. So I'm not really, I started to watch it, and I watched a little bit of that, and then, I don't know, I got bored. I lost interest. I used to love House of Cards.
Yeah, great show, of course, and then, of course, Kevin Spacey comes,
Yeah. When they say breaking news, I'm going to jump into this. When they say breaking news, so-and-so charged or whatever, it's no longer breaking news.
Right, it's just happening everywhere. It's crazy.
But I'm on, this is really bad to say publicly, I post it all the time, and I think the Me Too movement is a giant witch hunt. I'm sick and tired of it. I really am. Like, the things that are coming out, a lot of things are bullshit. I don't agree with rape, obviously, but I think the rest of it, he looked at me funny, he touched me funny, he gave me this, whatever. Come on. But you're living in your $1 million house, and you're accepting your awards, and you're doing your things, and now you're coming out? Mm-hmm. So I'm not a big, huge fan of that.
Interesting.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Let me spin it a totally different direction. Are you a sports fan?
Yeah, I just ate a banana while we're talking. I'm so sorry. That's so funny.
So it's a rasp with a banana now.
Yeah. I like to go to sporting events. I don't really watch them on TV except for, like, I don't know, Super Bowl, Grey Cup, that sort of the playoff, Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I watch the big stuff, but I do love to attend sporting events.
Right. Like, did you get caught up in the whole hype of the Mayweather-McGregor boxing match, which was crazy?
I love boxing. I do have ringside seats at the Hershey Center, which they have here, and they have professional boxing, and they're massive. I am and my husband is a photographer for a lot of boxing and stuff. I do love that. I like pay-per-view, but I don't want to go and watch it and enjoy it with other people. I like to pay attention to it myself if I'm not at the event.
Right.
I like to watch people go crazy, barbaric, on my own.
Yeah, no doubt, right? And do you make it to the movies very often? Like, did you see the last Star Wars, The Last Jedi?
No. I don't go to the movies very often. In the last 2 years, the town I live in is pretty small.
Right.
So I don't go to the movies that often because I don't like to. I have kids, and I don't. It's embarrassing for them when I'm out and about. So I just said a Canadian out and about. So
awesome.
they would prefer me to watch my movies at home.
Yeah.
Same with grocery shopping. I get it delivered.
How old are your kids?
Soon to be 20, and a 17-year-old son and a 17-year-old stepdaughter.
Wow.
So my soon to be 20-year-old son lives with me full time, and everyone else is part time.
Right.
So.
Well, you got me beat by a few. I've got a 7 and a 5-year-old.
Aw, that's
so
when they're cute.
I mean,
they're very moldable.
The best age, like the best age right now. So good.
And take lots of pictures. I didn't.
Yeah.
So take lots of pictures.
Yeah. What's your take on legalized marijuana? It's coming soon.
Okay, I'm not a stoner, quote unquote. I have since December 10th, I have given up all pharmaceuticals, and I am eating edibles and using CBDs.
Yep.
So my take is, wow, this is unbelievable.
Amazing, right?
I am not a stoner. So I've written 2 articles for magazines that are supposed to be like coming out, and I've also been asked to be sort of an ambassador for a Mary Jane company, because I'm not your typical consumer. Right. But I do have Crohn's, and I have anxiety, which I don't know how that happens, but I have anxiety. Mm-hmm. And
I think that's from being human, I think.
Seems that I have anxiety, and I'm like, who the hell doesn't?
I know, right? Totally.
So yes, I'm all for legalized marijuana, and I love edibles. I'm surprised. I love them.
Yeah, and what a difference in like the stone, quote unquote. It's not like smoking a doob, it's not the same.
No, it's not like smoking a doob. I've tried to smoke. I cough and I look ridiculous, and right. I just don't like it. So then I started to try different edibles, and I like watching the shows where they teach you how to cook with them, add them to your recipes and stuff. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's neat.
Yeah.
And I like kind of getting high like that. It's weird.
Smoking will add to that rasp, though, so you know.
Which actually I've lost jobs because of this rasp.
Come on,
it doesn't sound very good on camera. I have to not talk as much during the day, and I have to try and relax my voice a little bit before I do things. And
interesting. Yeah. What was your first concert?
In my life?
Yeah.
Wow, I think it was Olivia Newton-John.
Wow, Olivia Newton-John. Wow.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I might have been like Raffi or whatever. Remember those guys?
Of course, yeah.
But I think it was Olivia Newton-John. But then after that, it was. I went to see the Ramones, and I met them. It was at Lollapalooza.
Wow.
Yeah, I met a guy who was one of their roadies. He was like, it was like he worked with Monster Inc. or something, not the drink. There's another company, yep. Monster, and I met him, and he introduced me. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is
very
amazing.
Cool. I said nothing. I froze, and I've never done that in my life.
Yeah, I remember as a little kid, Olivia Newton-John made me feel funny.
I just remember wanting to beat her so damn bad.
I know, right? Man, she was huge. She was big in the 80s.
She was really big.
Yeah. If you could have a superpower, Jacqui, what would you want to have?
I want to be invisible. I trust no one. I would love to be invisible and be in those rooms, people I call friends. Isn't that terrible?
I know, right? Like the fly on the wall. My God.
Yes. That's what either shrink me to something teeny where I can just sit there and listen, or be invisible. I have, and that's as this social media and as things have gotten really big and taken off. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that stuff's gotten way worse. So, people suck.
Yeah.
No offense.
Last question for you, and it's an oddball. Okay. Have you had a near-death experience?
Yeah, actually, and it's funny that you just asked me this. It was in Detroit. It was I think it was 18, and I had fake ID, and I had just crossed the bridge from Windsor to Detroit. I was with these 2 Greek kids, like maybe they were 21, 22, mm-hmm. and they had some really fancy car, and there shouldn't have been a back seat, but there was kind of like a little bench,
okay,
and I was sitting on it, and we had just crossed the border. They started driving out of control, and the music was really, really loud, and the next thing I know, we were on the side of the road. The car was completely smashed up like an accordion, and I was fine.
Wow.
Yeah, but I remember my head spinning around and my eyes. Couldn't see anything, my head spinning around, and I remember screaming, "Oh, God, please no, please no."
Wow.
And that's it.
And when was this?
It was warm weather, and it was so I was 18, so I'm 44 now.
Yeah, so it was a while back.
A while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you still remember the actual accident happening? And isn't it weird how time kind of seems to slow down a little bit?
Oh, boy. I do remember it, and I remember the spinning. I remember seeing them in the front, looking at each other, going like, oh, shit, what have we done? And, it's funny that I still remember that, and I'm going to Detroit tonight. Shit.
Wow.
Good thing you brought. That's cool.
Wow.
I was actually shocked that I just remembered that. I still remember the feeling of being whipped around, and, like everything's sort of slow motion.
Yeah.
Even though we're obviously going super fast.
Super fast. Yeah, I mean, I've had accidents where, time just slows to a crawl.
Yeah, exactly. Aren't these all the things you hope your kids never have to freaking experience?
I know, right? Especially
Oh my
like as,
God.
you know, I'm looking at a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. Like,
Oh
my God. And the things that I'd put my mom through, like, fuck. I moved out when I was in grade 11.
How old are you?
I'm 44.
Oh, same age as me. When's your birthday?
December 19th.
Oh, okay. Am I allowed to ask you questions?
Yeah, hit me. Yeah, what's up?
No, I just wanted to know that.
Yes. Jacqui, thank you for jumping on the podcast here in Vancouver. You're at Jacqui Childs on Twitter and Instagram. Same thing for Facebook?
Facebook, it's Jacqui Childs Model, one word.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Girlfriend, we'll
And
see
I have
you.
a book coming out on Valentine's Day, and it talks about my life and why I am the way I am, and I'm not giving any secrets. It's not what you'll ever think.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, hell, we should maybe talk about that. What's within the book? What's going on? Pictures and stories and all that?
No, the book is it's 10 authors. The other authors are lawyers, doctors, accountants that have all been authors before, pretty successful,
Okay.
and they asked me to come on board,
Wow.
which was, kind of a compliment. They wanted to show that our outcomes, even though like we started off very differently, our outcomes can be pretty similar. Like we share a lot of the same stories. So it's pretty good. It's really good. So it's the first of many. It's an introduction to a book that's completely on my own.
Very cool.
Subscribe on iTunes at TODDCast Podcast.